All right, let's dive right in. We're talking about something that is, without a doubt, the absolute bedrock of any successful business: financial discipline. And I want you to think of it not as some boring restriction, but as the actual blueprint you need to build something that's going to last and, more importantly, something that's going to grow. I love this quote from Jim Rohn. It just hits the nail on the head. It's not enough to have these big goals for your business, right? You have to build the practical, sturdy bridge that's actually going to get you there. And really, that single idea is the foundation for everything we're about to cover.
I mean, it's the million-dollar question, isn't it? We've all seen it. Businesses with fantastic ideas, great products, super passionate teams, and they still struggle. They can see the goal on the other side, but for some reason, their bridge just isn't holding up. And so often, it all comes down to a shaky financial foundation.
And that's exactly what we're focusing on. The solution isn't some crazy, complicated secret formula. It's about building a solid foundation. And what experts tell us, time and again, is that this foundation rests on two incredibly important pillars. If you can get these right, you're not just running a business anymore. You're building something that's designed to last.
So let's start with the first and, honestly, the most critical pillar: mastering your cash flow. This is so much more than just accounting or spreadsheets. This is about survival. It's the day-to-day reality of keeping the lights on and making sure your business can breathe.
That term lifeblood is just perfect here. Cash flow really is the oxygen for your company. You can be the most profitable business on paper, but without a steady flow of actual cash, you can still fail. It's what allows a bakery to buy flour for tomorrow morning, or a tech company to pay its coders. It's the engine that powers the whole machine.
So how do you get a handle on it? Well, you create a cash flow statement. And look, it's not as scary as it sounds. It really just boils down to these three simple steps. First, you add up all the money coming in, your inflows. Then you add up all the money going out, your outflows. And finally, you just subtract the outflows from the inflows. That's it. That number is your net cash flow.
Let's make this super clear with an example. Imagine this month you brought in $100,000 from sales. Awesome. But your outflows, salaries, rent, supplies, that all added up to $90,000. That leaves you with a positive net cash flow of $10,000. And that single number, that is your business's health score in real time. It tells you exactly how much breathing room you actually have. Okay, so once you've secured your survival with solid cash flow management, it is time to move on to pillar 2. And this is where things get exciting. This is where we shift from just surviving to actually thriving. It's all about making smart investments for long-term, sustainable growth. Now here's the thing. Not all investments are created equal. You can put a temporary Band-Aid on a problem with a non-scalable solution, but trust me, you'll be paying for it again and again. Or you can invest in a scalable solution, something that actually grows with your business. This is the huge difference between short-term thinking and building a company that's truly future-proof.
So what does this actually look like in the real world? Well, a great example is technology, like a cloud-based CRM. Now, that's just a system for managing your customer relationships. A scalable one can handle 100 customers today and 10,000 tomorrow without breaking a sweat. Same idea for infrastructure. Think modular office furniture you can rearrange as your team expands, instead of fixed desks. And finally, processes. Automating your order fulfillment might save you a few hours this week, but it'll save you thousands of hours and prevent costly mistakes as you get bigger.
So, we've got our two pillars: mastering cash flow and investing for growth. But here's the secret. They don't exist in a vacuum. The real magic, the true blueprint for success, happens when you understand how these two work together. It's this simple. This is the key to unlocking real, sustainable growth. Mastering your cash flow is what gives you the resources and the confidence to make those smart, scalable investments. Positive cash flow from Pillar 1 is the fuel that you use to build the growth engine of Pillar 2. One literally makes the other possible.
And what this does is create this powerful, self-reinforcing cycle. Let's call it a growth loop. It works like this. First, your careful cash flow tracking shows you have a healthy surplus. That's your insight. Then you take action. You use that extra cash to make a strategic move, like investing in that CRM we talked about. The result? Well, that new system helps you manage more customers way more efficiently, which grows your business, and that leads to even stronger cash flow in the future. And then the loop just starts all over again, each time with more momentum. Of course, building this kind of foundation isn't always a perfectly smooth ride. It's so important to be aware of the common roadblocks you might face so you can navigate them instead of letting them derail you.
So the first roadblock is often a simple lack of data. If you're not tracking things correctly, you're just making decisions in the dark. So job one has to be gathering accurate info. Next, resource constraints. That's just a reality for everyone. You can't do it all at once. This just means you have to get really good at prioritizing the investments that will have the highest impact. And finally, market volatility. Things change, right? A new competitor pops up, the economy shifts. The key is to stay adaptable. Always be ready to revisit your strategy and have a cash reserve to weather those storms.
So let's lock in the key takeaways from our blueprint today. First, track your cash flow relentlessly. That is the foundation for survival. Second, invest in solutions that can grow with you. That is the foundation for growth. And finally, the most powerful idea, use one to fuel the other and create that unstoppable cycle of success.
And that leaves us with one last, really important question for you to think about. If you look at your own business, right now, today, which of these two pillars needs strengthening first? Is it about getting a better handle on your day-to-day cash flow, or is it about making smarter investments for the future? The answer to that question is your very first step on the blueprint to growth.